From UFOs to psychic powers and government conspiracies, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know. A production of iHeartRadio.
Hello, welcome back to the show. My name is Matt.
My name is Noel.
They call me Ben. We are joined, as always, with our super producer, Paul, Mission Control Decant. Most importantly, you are here, and that makes this the stuff they don't want you to know. It's the most wonderful time of the week. If you're tuning in when today's show comes out, then it is Thursday, which means it is time for our listener mail segment. We have been receiving some incredible correspondence, as always. Thank you to everyone who's written in. Thank you to everyone who's emailed. Thank you to everyone who's called. And thanks to the dentist, actually, that, Noel, I don't know if you go to this one, but Matt and I go to a dentist in town and have for years. And every so often, I'll be a little loopy today because I just got back, but every so often, this dentist, who's a wonderful guy, will ask me questions about conspiracies and slam his hand in my mouth.
While you're under the drill? That's kind of sinister.
Dr. Presley, you know who you are. You know who you are, Dr. Presley.
Wait a minute, his name's Dr. Presley?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
like
his first
Elvis Presley?
His first name's literally Doctor.
Yep.
Well,
I'm kidding.
Of course that makes me think of Steve Martin's character in Little Shop of Horrors, who does an Elvis kind of bit and is like a sadist.
That song's a banger. So just picture this is what our lives are like outside of the air, folks. Picture your faithful correspondent going to the dentist, and then it's like, oh, hey, I do have a good, summer or whatever. Yeah, it was fine. And then, who killed Kennedy? But he's doing well, sends his regards. Hope everybody else is doing well as well, since we're getting paid by how many times we say the word well, apparently, at the beginning here. We're going to explore some disturbing stories. We're going to explore some topical stories. We're going to hear some messages from you, some of which are stranger than others, fellow conspiracy realists. I haven't talked to the guys about this off air, but I'm still loving that people are sending in ghost stories. Beat me here, Paul. I am all about it. You know what I mean? It's always Halloween in America when you think about it.
Yeah, I'm not letting it lie. Sorry, there's one that's going to appear today. My bad.
A ghost? It's going to appear? It's going to make a spooky appearance?
Yes.
Quite possibly.
I, too, enjoy the ghost stories that continue to float their way in.
Yes. So much so that who knows, maybe we'll just have a cavalcade of ghost stories one day soon. No promises, but we're not ruling it out either. We're going to look into we're going to go to some dark places today, and I propose that we start with something a little topical, something that's been on everybody's mind for the past. Gosh, when did this happen? It was like a few days ago, right? Astroworld?
Yeah, it was just last week.
So we have, as you can imagine, folks, we've been tuned into social media. We've been tuned into our various conspiracy forums where we skulk around or skulk about on the internet. And this is something that everybody's been talking about. As a matter of fact, you know what? I don't know about you guys. I had some family members ping me about this and say like, hey, what do you guys think? What's on your mind? And there's so much noise here. But we're still, I think, collectively getting the facts and separating those from, the, social trends or exaggerations. But Noel, you clocked a really interesting letter from a returning conspiracy realist, I believe.
That's correct. I thought that the name seemed familiar. It's from Z's Chaser. I think that's how I'm going to choose to pronounce it. And I will begin with reading the email in full because it's a nice, pithy, short one. Hey guys, Z's here, spelled triple Z. Lately, videos of the Travis Scott Astroworld concert have been showing up on my Reddit feed. The videos show Travis Scott telling members of the crowd to inflict harm on an individual. The individual did try to steal Travis Scott's shoe, but some crimes can often be paid off. In other words, I think Aziz is implying that if you are a person of means, like a giant music star like Travis Scott, that even if you are inciting violence, it's possible that you can, grease some palms and get away with just paying a fine without serving jail time. The thing is,
Travis Scott has done in the past for
$1,000,000%.
similar things.
A 1,000,000%. Even if inciting violence. The thing is, how far can it go? Are there cases of music artists whose fans have pushed it too far? Seeing Travis Scott up there with the fans felt a little cultish. Don't know if you feel that vibe. Thanks, guys. Love the show. First of all, I just want to clarify the video in question here that Z's is talking about wasn't from the Astroworld show. It was from a different concert that took place in a previous year. But Travis Scott has a reputation for asking fans to jump barricades, encouraging fans to break in to oversold shows, because he honestly does behave in a cult leader-ish way in the way he talks to his fans. And as we know, with massive crowds like that, there can be trouble, if people aren't kept under control, or if there is a mob mentality. Case in point, Limp Bizkit at Woodstock 99, right? Yeah, Woodstock 99, where they, literally asked the crowd to break and granted, those are the lyrics to an absolute banger of a song by Limp Bizkit, but they did not do anything to calm the crowd down when they saw that there were fires being set and craziness ensuing. And yeah, this video shows Travis Scott after he's crowd surfing and a fan apparently takes his shoe. He says, I'm quoting here, believe me if you would, Paul, like, bring that motherfucker over here. At which point the crowd grabs said mofo and essentially hauls him over to the front, where he then says, that guy up, is what Travis Scott says. Implying he wants them to give this person, to administer some sort of vigilante justice to this guy who's a young, skinny, white male. None of that matters. I'm just describing the scene. And you don't really see what happens because the angle of the video is sort of above the crowd and you can't quite see into it. But I would imagine this dude got a few licks before he was passed over to security, and then Travis Scott instructed his security to get him out of there. And yeah, he took the guy's shoe, and that's a pretty stupid move. But also, crowd surfing is a dangerous endeavor. And, you often see like women crowd surfing who get groped, and not saying that they have it coming or something,
right.
But it is something when you enter into a situation where literally thousands of hands are passing over your body, you might lose a shoe. You might get felt up in an uncomfortable way. I mean, certainly there are individuals who might take advantage of the situation and really, actually try to perpetrate some sort of sexual assault, or at the very least, an inappropriate form of touching. But if you're going to throw yourself onto a crowd, you're going to get touched, and you might get a garment ripped, or you might get a shoe pulled off, because you never know. Like, if the guy might be holding onto his foot trying to pass him and someone pulled him, and these shoes, a lot of these shoes that are elastic at the top, some of these fancy sneakers, they could come off,
Yeah.
So it's unclear as to whether this kid intended to steal Travis Scott's shoe, in my opinion.
Yeah. And there's also, it's unfortunately not surprising, Ziz or Triple Z, that there are videos that people are thinking come from Astroworld when they actually come from an earlier incident, because there have been quite a few incidents at Travis Scott concerts. In this, there's something that I wanted to go back to in the letter that you sent us, which is the idea of those crimes being paid off. I think that's specifically referring to 2017, where he was arrested in Arkansas, charged with inciting a riot, endangering minors, and disorderly conduct, because injuries resulted when he told people to rush the stage. But some of those charges were dismissed in 2018. And when he pled guilty to disorderly conduct, he paid like a little under $7,000 to the two people who said they were injured. So maybe that's what we're talking about when we say crimes are paid off. He hasn't done any jail time, but it is, I love that you pointed out, Limp Bizkit, it is illegal for people you can be charged with inciting a riot if the law judges that you have done that, even, and sometimes I'm sure musicians might say, well, it's part of the performance, our song was, this is us inciting a riot. We were just playing our song, but I don't know how much water that holds in court.
Well, we know, with the whole Trump storming of the Capitol thing, it was very hard for folks to pin on him and the language that he used that he was inciting a riot. That was very difficult. He you can always frame it in terms of he was speaking conceptually or whatever, not necessarily encouraging people to take physical action to commit physical acts of violence. It could just be like, shit up. In theory, with your minds and your attitudes or whatever, not necessarily right now. But just really quickly to double back, in case anyone's not been paying attention, Astroworld was a festival held in Houston, Texas. And this concert took place over the weekend, or on a Friday is when this happened. 50,000 people roughly were in attendance when headliner Travis Scott took the stage. And according to multiple accounts that are all over the internet, if you want to find them, when he began to play, the crowd surged to the point where folks that were kind of stuck in the middle of it couldn't move, and they were just, and I've felt this before, if anyone's been in like a mosh pit or like a surging crowd, it's a very intense sensation where you feel your body literally being pulled and you're not able to control that. That's its own thing, and that can be exhilarating and kind of fun, but what's not fun is when people are literally being suffocated by human bodies. And there's descriptions of layers of bodies being trampled underfoot and people not being able to catch their breath, and all of this stuff. And in this case, it resulted in the death of, I believe, 9 people and injuries to hundreds of people. Who were caught up in this surge. And there is video, showing members of the crowd jumping the barricade and begging, pleading with security and event personnel to stop the concert. That people need help, and it just seems to be falling on deaf ears. And even at one point when an ambulance kind of pulls out into the crowd, Travis Scott appears to continue performing. Instead of saying, hey, what gives? So was everyone okay? He seems to continue performing. And at some point, I believe he does kind of take a beat and try to see what's going on. But it seems to have gone on much longer than makes any sense. There's video of a woman who jumps out of the crowd and hops the barricade and is by a camera person and is pleading with an event personnel to stop the concert. That person does not take heed.
This is what I want to bring up, Noel. I see all of the shade pretty firmly focused on the performer who's on stage, Travis Scott.
There's plenty of blame to go around, but I think I know where you're going with this.
I don't think he told people to inject other folks with drugs.
No, we haven't even gotten to that yet. But exactly.
but this part, just I'm familiar with being on stage in a loud area and not knowing, especially if you're a musician or if you're, you've got monitors in your ears, just your unawareness of what's happening, especially when it's a sea of people, right? You look out and it's that many people in front of you. I've never been in front of 50,000 people, but I know just from a couple thousand that it does something to your mind. Your awareness is shifted. So I'm just saying it's up to the event personnel, people who are running the boards, people who are monitoring via security or other, whatever the staff is. It would be up to them to let Travis, the performer, know that there's an emergency. We need to do something, right? There's a decision that wasn't made at some point.
Yeah. How can you tell if someone, how can you watch every falling sparrow? I've been in front of large crowds before, and the point you bring up is excellent. It is very, very difficult to even see a person past row 10 as an individual. And how would you tell if someone is unconscious versus dead. How would you know how seriously someone was injured unless security or medical staff was telling you? I mean, it did get wild. Like a law enforcement officer was injected with something. They had to give the guy Narcan. I doubt that Scott was out there saying, hey, you guys want to rage? Inject people with stuff. I doubt it was anything like that, but I was not at Astroworld.
I completely agree. And this is becoming fodder for conspiracy theories galore. There is an article on the Daily Beast with the headline, TikTok and QAnon panic over Satanism conspiracies at deadly Travis Scott concert, referring to upside down crosses or things that could be perceived as upside down crosses on the stage. If you've seen his kind of iconic, it's like his head, but it's like an open mouth that's like the entrance to the festival. I think it was the cover of his album, or it was part of his like set when he first came out. And it looks a lot like this Hieronymus Bosch painting of a giant like open mouthed kind of demon head. And it's one of those paintings of Hieronymus Bosch that's meant to, depict what hell would be like. So this stuff is just going absolutely bananas on the internet. May well deserve its own episode once we find out more about all of this. But I still do think, based on the pattern of Scott's behavior, the whole telling a crowd to beat up an individual person for supposedly stealing his shoe, that's just irresponsible. He also, like you said, he did, obviously grease some palms at a previous concert for inciting a riot. I mean, that is something that you have the power to do with your words. He's also got his team has a really bad track record for safety from various incidents, throughout his career. So I do think that some responsibility, not all, rests with Scott himself. I think that Live Nation, the promoter, and also the venue, they did not appear to have a contingency plan in place for a crowd surge like this. And it does appear that Scott himself is in total damage control mode. I'm sure the guy's distraught. I would hope. He has offered to pay for the funeral expenses of everyone that was killed at the festival, and he's made some deal. This is a little weird. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being cynical, but he's made a deal with BetterHelp. Yeah, which is one of the sponsors of the show. Full disclosure. To give free therapy to those that were traumatized, life-changingly so, at this event. So it's something to watch. The whole drug injection thing, it's just adding insult to injury for the whole thing, just to show how out of control this whole scene was. And, it's wild, man. And all of these, Satanism conspiracies, are getting kind of nuts, and apparently TikTok's not doing much to shut them down, which, they don't have to. It's the kind of place where these things do kind of, grow from. And, that's what the internet is. We're not going to shut down every crackpot theory on the internet, or else it wouldn't really be the internet, would it? But yeah, it's like, so there's some ideas that there's invocations of astrology and the sacred geometry, the Scorpio season, iconography and things like that. And yeah, it's interesting stuff. I don't know. What do you guys think? I hear your position completely, Matt, and I've been in a similar situation. It is nearly impossible to figure out what's going on in that situation. But when you see an ambulance riding out into the crowd, to me, I think that would be a pretty good reason to maybe stop the concert. Though there is some stuff from promoters saying, or police saying, that they didn't want to shut the concert down because they thought that would further cause a riot, which I also understand.
Yeah, and I'm certainly not meaning to lessen, Travis Scott's involvement here. I'm just pointing out that it's not solely his responsibility to make sure everyone at that concert is safe. There are literally people whose jobs it is to keep people safe when they're at a venue like that. It's a terrible tragedy. Did you guys notice? I think Chandler or somebody posted on our internal communications that the brain stuff video that Josh made way back in the day about crowd crushes.
I think I wrote that one, actually. I can't remember.
Oh, you did that one. Okay. Wow. Yeah. It was weird to go back and watch that. And
Paul directed it and shot it. Paul, Mission Control Decant.
But let's move on for now. But something to keep an eye on as more information, gets released. And obviously our thoughts are with the families of those who lost their lives and those who were injured. And, it really made me think twice. I brought my daughter to a concert just the other week, that same weekend, actually. It was maybe a couple of days before, this band 100 Gex. And she and her friend really wanted to go down into the pit. And she's old enough. I was like, it's cool. We kept an eye on her, and she was with two other friends. And now it's kind of making me think twice about that. And again, I don't want this to be fear-mongering type story. It's certainly an indoor kind of like club type concert with room to breathe. It seems like for these, now that clubs are opening back up, they're not overbooking them, is a little different than 50,000 people. But it still makes you think twice. So keep an eye on your kids, these concerts, make sure they're not getting injected with weird secret drugs. Okay, everybody, quick update. The police have, in fact, corrected their original claim about the alleged injections. They now are saying that the person in question was, in fact, pinched and not injected. Of course, the story continues to unfold, and we will have a full episode on this in the very near future. We'll take a break, and we'll be back with some more listener mail.
And we're back. Now we're going to quickly listen to a ghost story. Then we'll move on to another voicemail. We're going to do 2, so prepare yourselves. Here we go. First one. This message comes from P. Yes, you heard me. P.
Like the letter P?
The letter P.
As in friends of P.
Friends of P, thank you. Yeah, if you're friends of P and you're friends with me.
Let's hear it.
Here it comes.
Hey, folks, this is P from Southwest Virginia. I kind of wanted to call and let you guys know about a story that I have of my own. When I was in college, I went to a small liberal arts college tucked in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. The college is very old. A lot of the buildings on campus have, lots of stories associated with them, like most colleges do. One building in particular, though, seems to have a much more high concentration of stories about it, and that building is the chapel. Custodial staff, pastors, students, professors, alumni of the college, pretty much everyone you talk to has some kind of story, and I myself have a story that I have tried to explain away but cannot. When I was a sophomore in college, one night I had been playing Dungeons & Dragons with some friends of mine until pretty late, till about 2 a.m., and I was still commuting at this time, and so I thought to myself, well, I need to use the restroom before I go home. I can stop in at the chapel because I know the doors are always unlocked. And the church has 3 levels, the balcony, the main level, and then the fellowship hall in the basement. Well, I went into the basement door into the fellowship hall, and it's this huge, dark room with 2 pianos. So I walked into the room, and one of the pianos was broken, and the other one was pushed up against the wall, covered up in things. And I was a choir intern at the time, so I knew they didn't work. One of the pianos started playing, and I was like, that's weird, but someone's playing a prank, so I went on to use the restroom. I came back out. When I set foot into the fellowship hall, the piano began playing erratically. And as I walked across the room, it devolved very quickly into what sounded like someone just slamming their fist on the keyboard. I basically called out to stop. You're going to damage the piano with slamming on it like that. I hear the key cover slam shut. I look over, and at this whole time, there's been no one there. And then I hear footsteps take off, running directly towards me. I quickly ran outside and grabbed a baseball bat out of my truck and came back inside because I thought someone was trying to razz me or whatever, and so I went back inside, and there was nobody there. I can't explain it. I've tried for a long time, but yeah, that's my my paranormal story.
There you go.
P. P for piano.
Yeah, there you go. And pee my pants if that happened to me.
Yes.
I mean, I've been in many church and chapel at night when the lights are dim and the pianos are amongst us. I've never had anything like that occur. Just wonder how you guys would react to that. I don't think I'd get a bat and go back inside. I
love this kind of stuff. I've been try not to make any of these stories about myself. I don't think that's useful for us to listen to, but I'm surely not the only person in the audience today who enjoys investigating those kinds of things. And you start with the mundane. Is there maybe a speaker system? Is someone playing a prank? Is there someone in a nearby structure or room that could have been playing something, but this sounds like Conlon Nancarrow type chaos. P, look up that guy, Nancarrow, and let us know if that's kind of what it sounds like. Have you guys ever heard that piano composer?
No.
It's insanity. It's like the band Square Pusher, but it's this guy who purposely wrote these compositions that could not be played by human hands.
Nice.
Because people get into wild stuff. Yeah, I would say there's first, the big question, P, and I don't mean to razz you here, a phrase I love, is what would you have done with a bat? Like if it was a ghost?
Well, maybe, I guess the idea is maybe it wasn't a ghost, right?
That's what
it sounds like
P's.
Yeah. Sounds like P's initial reaction was somebody's, trying to scare me, or maybe was, meant to hurt me and got me out of there. Well, I'm going to defend myself and this chapel, so I'm going back inside. That's P's mind.
Yeah, I see that. I also think that there's a really common belief in instruments, in particular musical instruments, becoming repositories for some sort of energy, whether you want to call that piano paranormal or whether you want to say it's a cultural, psychological framing thing. But P, it sounds like you have not had a history of auditory hallucinations. It sounds like this is, you set up the story so well by saying that other people have reported, that friends of P have reported seeing or experiencing paranormal activity in this vicinity. So I wonder if anybody else reported hearing something, and if they did, which I'm almost certain they have, right? Given the storied history here, if they did, how amazing would it be if they heard the same song? That's an interesting place to start. What do you guys think?
Yeah, perfect. Hey, did you go to a liberal arts college in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains? Write to us and let us know about your chapel's piano.
Yeah, I had to quickly just chime in. I didn't have a haunting experience at this place, but I feels like I should have. I went to a fine arts magnet school in the town where I grew up, Augusta, Georgia, called Davidson Fine Arts. And the last year of the existence of the old decrepit building that it was in for many, many years was my first year there. I was there for like fifth grade, I think, and then we moved to a brand new building. But it remained derelict and it had all this asbestos, and it was like a real problematic building, and it was like a blight, and it finally got like bulldozed, but me and some friends like snuck into it. In the auditorium, all the seats were covered with like tarps and stuff, and there was all this just asbestos dust everywhere. It was a really stupid thing to have done. But there were like in the halls just piles of like old textbooks, just like massive mountains of them, and like desks just piled like in Les Mis, like the Barricade or something like that. And it was the spookiest thing ever. And we had like all of these ISO booths where you could practice, quiet rooms, and those were still there, and there were also lots of old weird decrepit out of tune pianos there, and I wish I had a spooky event. Nothing spooky happened except for just the existence of this place, but would have been a perfect opportunity for a haunting. Real missed opportunity by ghosts.
Definitely. So yeah, write to us about your piano hauntings. We want to hear them.
Or any instrument, bassoon, harmonica. I'll take a steel drum.
Everyone knows the bassoon is the spookiest of band instruments.
I quite love the spookiness of the cello. It's all like heartbreak and goth and crumbling fingertips on statues. It's poetic.
Yeah. Give us those haunted harp stories. We're all about them. All of them. Harpsichords. Bring it on. But hey, that's not all. P, thank you for letting us know about your story. We're going to jump to one more message that comes from Starlight.
Hey guys, you can call me Starlight. I was listening to the latest episode when you were talking about the Phoebus cartel and LED bulbs. Now, expert on LED bulbs, but I do have a lot of experience with using them just with my job. And I do know a thing or two about electronics. And LEDs absolutely can last, 30 to 50,000 hours. Like that's just how they work. But I think how they limit the lifespan of these LED bulbs is actually with the capacitors inside. And if you look up a capacitor temperature versus lifespan chart, what you'll see is as they run hotter, they last a shorter amount of time. And how these driver circuits work inside these bulbs is if that capacitor fails, the whole bulb goes out or starts to flicker. So I think that's what they're doing, because I've never seen an LED bulb that lasts, 30 to 50,000 hours. But I've seen LEDs and other things that have been lit up for decades. So I know that they can last a long time. And I think the way they're artificially limiting the lifespan is by running them at a higher temperature. So anyway, I enjoy the show. Feel free to use this on the air. And talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye.
Interesting.
Well, makes sense.
Do you think running them at a higher temperature makes them brighter?
Well, it's weird because LED bulbs don't run on heat, right? LED bulbs run on electricity, just the amount you're sending into them. So, like, you're
the
not
capacitor limits the flow of electrons, right?
And it's not like a filament, right? That's actually heating up to generate the light.
Correct. I misspoke, by the way. It was a pretty easy mistake to make, but a capacitor stores and releases electricity. It's a resistor that can dissipate electric energy. So the capacitor literally can store it and then release it as needed. And a resistor is something that causes resistance between 2 points in a circuit and limits or slows the flow of electricity.
But yes, Starlight is correct here. If you go to greenlighting.co.uk, you can read this quick little blurb about how LED lighting generally boasts impressive lifespans, at least compared to traditional bulbs and other forms of bulbs. And the main issue here is the quality of the component. So it's not the actual LED light itself that is the thing that's going to burn out the way a filament would burn out in a traditional bulb. It is the capacitor. And how long this light lasts depends directly on the capacitors and the other components within that bulb. I mean, it's just right there on the face of it. You can find that on a ton of other websites that tell you all about that. Depends on whether or not that capacitor is made of plastic or ceramic or some other substance. Generally, ceramic capacitors are going to last a lot longer, and you will pay more for that bulb that has a ceramic capacitor. In a lot of ways, it's you get what you pay for. So if it's cheaper components to make each individual bulb, they're going to go out faster. It's just how it is.
And running them at a higher temperature is going to be more damaging. That's just how any any electronic or mechanical device works. It's the same reason why, it's the same reason why tires on race cars wear out so much more quickly than tires on your local Honda Civic or Camry or, God forbid, Honda Odyssey. Don't buy one.
God.
Just don't do it.
And yes, Ben, to what you were saying, generally LED bulbs function the best when they're between 65 degrees Fahrenheit and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And if you that's their best operating temperature, essentially, not for the bulb itself, but their environment. And if you go above that 75 degrees, that's when those components are not going to function to their best ability, essentially. That you can find that on bobvila.com, everybody. That's exciting. And I want to recommend an article for people to read. It's in hackaday.com, HACKADAY.com. There's an article called What Happened to the 100,000 Hour LED Bulbs. It's posted February 5th, 2019 by Ted Yapo, Y-A-P-O. It's just a great breakdown of several different LED bulbs that were on the market in 2019. Bulbs that were supposed to last 7,500 hours, some that were supposed to last 15,000 hours, and another that was supposed to last 25,000 hours. And it actually, they take the bulb part off, right? The part that looks like a light bulb, and they look at the components inside and really break down how each one functions and why it may perform for a longer amount of time.
Oh, and there is, I would advance, Starlight, there is another LED conspiracy that you should be aware of. If you're like, I'm sleeping too easily at night, why am I can't even count past 4 sheep? It's this, in addition to the ability to illuminate the darkness, LED fixtures can be used to spy on people.
No way. Like they can be repurposed?
Yes way, Ted. They can, yeah. This has been reported in places like Computer World as far back as 2014. LED lights can covertly listen, so they can hear audio. Some can send that audio a relatively short distance, like 300 meters away, to somebody else. It's not just closed circuit television anymore. So I guess something like an Alexa was around before, right? We just called them light bulbs. I don't know if these are the kinds you can buy at stores, but a while back, the New York Times reported that almost 200 LED fixtures, 171 light bulbs in Terminal B at Newark Liberty International Airport were, quote unquote, watching the crowd, which I never thought of.
This is very weird. Well, hey, Starlight, thank you for writing in, for giving us that info. We hope everybody out there has good lighting wherever you are. Keep it dim. Turn it off when you're not around. You can save some money. And the various light bulb cartels don't want you to know that you can save your bulbs by just not using them. It's crazy.
Right. That's the heart of the conspiracy there. Yeah, I mean, you make a really, really good point, Matt, which is that because of the way they function, I think LED bulbs, right, can dim or diminish over time. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. There's so much to read and to know about LED bulbs, and they're also very vastly different in their construction and the components within them. So I would just say do your own research if you're interested in like finding the best bulbs and things. We're not going to recommend one to you, but a bunch of the companies make them, including GE, which is, I think, being broken up into 3 different companies now.
Yes. Aviation, healthcare, and the wonderfully vaguely named energy. So what is that?
Well, that's
is it just vibes?
Reactors. They make nuclear reactors, right? Yeah, no, for sure. But GE and Philips were 2 of the major players in that initial Phoebus cartel story. And Philips is one of the leaders in LED bulbs today with their whole Hue line. I have them for my whole house and I love them, but they're also like $75 a pop. So they damn well better last longer than 1,000 hours or last longer than a traditional light bulb that costs like, a couple bucks.
Yeah. And we should also mention, if you want to learn more about the entire dirty story of the Phoebus cartel and the fundamental role it played in what we call planned obsolescence, please check out the YouTube video we did a number of years ago. Please also check out our full audio episode that we did a number of years ago. It's an historic event, so the facts aren't really going to change. They did the industry dirty and they made a lot of money.
Yes, they did. And we hope we didn't do you dirty, P or Starlight. Thank you for sending in your voice so we can play it on here. We'll be right back after another word from our sponsors.
And we have returned for our final piece or pieces of listener mail today. I'm going to do something different today. I'd like to share a story that's a bit of a palate cleanser. And then I'd also like to explicitly ask our fellow conspiracy realists for help. And some, a lot of us in the crowd will reach out to me on social media to ask a certain question or to follow up with something. And that's invaluable. You're the most important part of this show. And more often than not, and I can't speak for everyone here, but more often than not, I run into situations where I genuinely, not only do I not know the answer, but the guesses I can make just become increasingly disturbing. And so stay tuned for at the end. We're going to ask specifically for your opinion on something. But in the meantime, how about a palate cleanser? You guys, we received the most delightful email from somebody who has decided to call themselves ChickenGuy 7756774. Guess there are a lot of chicken guys out there, man. But you're our chicken guy. To be very clear.
There can be only one in our hearts.
Hope that's not a phone number.
It's. I guess we could consult some numerologists to figure out what area code is represented by the linguistic phrase "chicken guy." So Matt, I could tell you're on the case here. So chicken guy, here's what you said. And I'm going to paraphrase a little here. Hey, gang, big fan of the show. I love the way you all dive into crazy subjects and pick them apart and look at them rationally. Really refreshing and fun way to look at conspiracy theories. Thank you, Chicken Guy, 775-6774. The reason I am contacting you all today is a strange story my girlfriend told me. It's not as big or as fancy as the other listener stories you've gotten, but it's just too strange not to share. The story goes like this. And Matt, Noel, if you haven't read this email, this is great. I am having so much fun with this one. We were eating lunch, says Chicken Guy 775-6774, with my family after church, and somehow the conversation landed on the subject of Church's Chicken. Pausing here, Noel, Matt, we know Church's Chicken. We got those here in Atlanta. Are you guys fans of Church's Chicken?
It's all right. I mean, wait, they have those honey biscuits that I really like. They have like honey, like flavored kind of like basted biscuits. They're quite good.
Yeah, I don't
spicy
know. Sorry.
Chicken. They do spicy chicken. I believe.
You've never heard of Church's Chicken? Yeah, I tend to be a Popeyes guy, but I'm not gonna turn. I like how we have at our office. We're right down the street from this awesome Popeyes with some very very blunt people working there. So I told you.
I don't know. Give me a Bojangles, man. Sorry.
A Bojangles?
Yeah, that's mine.
Well, this is how the triumvirate dissipates. We'll go off to our respective chicken places. Anyway.
Oh, now I do like a Cajun filet biscuit from Bojangles. Don't get me wrong. That's what I want right now.
I don't think I've ever been to a Bojangles.
Oh.
I've been to a lot of chicken shacks in my time, but I was just like enamored of the Popeyes next to our office when I pulled up one day just in a hurry to get lunch, and the person at the drive-thru just said, "What?" Like when I rolled up, it was amazing. So anyway, that's nothing to do with this story from Chicken Guy. I just wanted to gauge you guys' opinions for the next time I bring you lunch. All right. So Chicken Guy says, the conversation landed on the subject of Church's Chicken. My girlfriend immediately lit up and told us all a story about a Church's Chicken from her hometown in Mansfield, Ohio. The story goes that there was a Church's Chicken that she and her family went to a lot, and then one day, it just mysteriously shut down. All the windows were boarded up. The building was painted gray. Signs were taken down and painted over. The crazy part is when she told me that there was an article about the Church's Chicken never actually existing legally in the first place. Thinking this is too much to be true, I looked it up, and sure enough, it is true. A reporter went on and tried to find the truth behind why this was shut down. And in the end, this reporter, and Chicken Guy links us to the article, couldn't find anyone who could explain why it was closed, couldn't find the manager, the staff, went to Church's Chicken corporate, and they said they don't know what happened. They don't know why. There was never a Church's Chicken in the town, the entirety of this town in Ohio to begin with. And there's one line from the reporter who says, I spoke with a man named Luis who told me there was no active Church's Chicken in Mansfield. When I asked if there ever had been one, he told me there was not a Church's Chicken in Mansfield in the system at all. And so he says, I don't want to be dishonest. I might be wrong about the whole restaurant never existing. But he says there's not one in the system currently. He also asked if there's ever been one. The guy says no. But if I'm reading it correctly, it sounds like they're saying there was never an actual official Church's Chicken in Mansfield, Ohio. So if it wasn't Church's Chicken, then what was it? Are you kidding?
Bojangles. It was a Bojangles.
Bojangles in disguise, right? Like the Transformers theme.
Yeah.
But it's chicken. Yeah, this is so I enjoyed this because first off, thank you, Chicken Guy, for sending this letter our way. These are the kind of regional mysteries. I don't know about you guys, but these are kind of regional mysteries I really dig because it sounds like someone started a fake Church's Chicken and then like left when the heat got too close.
Are you sure they're not talking about the Church of Chicken, the little known cult?
Oh, the
Church of
Chicken.
Chicken. Yeah.
Is it spelled CHURCH apostrophe S or ES?
I think
or CHURCH.
You know, I've never really given this much thought, man. Let's put this to rest here.
I believe it's
ES.
H apostrophe S.
Oh, I think it's just ES.
It's apostrophe S.
Is
Yeah.
it? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. You're right.
So
you're right.
I'm wondering if there was a differently spelled Church's Chicken
Right.
that somebody. No, wait, hold on.
Yeah. Hold the phone.
I'm looking at the link that was sent to us.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a real picture of a closed down, like regular logoed Church's Chicken.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They got away. This is something, I mean, I don't know how we talk about this on stuff they want you to know, but something that fascinates me. Counterfeit fast food places. I don't know. We could do a non-harrowing episode one day and just choose something like explore counterfeit fast food places, because there are a lot of, like, internationally, it's so fascinating, dude. There are countries that, due to sanctions, can't have things like a McDonald's, etc. Right? And so they have these local variations that are almost exactly like a McDonald's. The language is different, but think of like Burger Kang with an A and G, or Burger Krang if we want to do Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
There's a really great episode of Nathan For You where he uses a parody law to create essentially a Starbucks clone called Dumb Starbucks.
Yes.
That uses all of the same branding. And apparently, I just looked it up and it says, Dumb Starbucks forced to close after owner reveals himself as Comedy Central show host.
I remember that. That's a great show. And that episode on Kids' Toys is amazing.
I love that show. It's so clever.
So the good news is, or the weird news is, Chicken Guy, you are correct, sir. Give the man a sandwich and a biscuit, because this does appear to be some kind of very weird. I'm thinking it was a very weird scam. I'm thinking maybe somehow somebody just decided to maybe make a Church's Chicken without paying the franchise fee. Franchising is its own weird thing, by the way. And then they got caught. Maybe an actual Church's man blew into town and checked his great map of all the Church's chickens and said, there's something amiss. You know what I mean? Like a fake fast food location bounty hunter, like Dog the Bounty Hunter, but with chicken shacks.
It's Church the Chicken Hunter.
Church the Chicken Hunter. Yes. So the issue is that this reporter, according to this link that Chicken Guy sent us, this reporter even called the Secretary of State, who was able to verify that a company named BAM Enterprises, based in Columbus, Ohio, owned the actual building. BAM Enterprises was founded in 2008. It's only got 1 to 5 employees. It's a private business. You can read a little bit about their business profile, but they don't, there's not really a statement about Church's Chicken. And now this reminds me of that time we were looking through New York to find fake buildings. I wonder, was it a front for something? Surely not, because Chicken Guy's girlfriend went there on a regular basis for years. Someone was just, for some reason, it appears, pretending to be a Church's Chicken. How do you ever hear about someone's life and you think, no judgment, but how did they get to that moment? How did they get to that, what George Bush would call a decision point? What in their life made them look around one day and say, I want to fake having a Church's Chicken? That's my thing.
Well, I'm just remembering a certain chicken place from a certain television show about meth.
Yes.
Wait, is this your brain thing?
No.
Is your brain? No.
No, this is the Breaking Bad chicken place.
Pollo Loco.
Pollo. No.
Oh, Los Pollos
Hermanos.
Yes. Pollo Loco is a real place. And
it is a real place. And I always
good.
think they're the same. By the way, unrelated but somewhat related. I recently did a Halloween movie marathon, like I'm sure we all sort of did, and I watched the Stephen King adaptation of the short story Trucks that was made into a very, very bad 80s movie that King himself directed, likely under the influence of a meth-like substance that he was very into at the time, called Maximum Overdrive.
Yep.
And in it, these trucks get possessed by like aliens from another dimension. Unclear, very convoluted plot. But a cameo appearance in one of the first scenes in the truck stop arcade is none other than the actor who plays Gus Fring in Breaking Bad when he's like, maybe in his early 20s. He gets, spoiler alert, he gets fried by some very bad painted on electricity that comes out of like a Space Invaders machine or something. And
say you didn't like that film, but this is the second time you've mentioned it.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah,
it was so bad that it was good.
Everybody
it's very
watched
bad,
the trailer.
but it's, yeah.
Watch
the trailer. The trailer in and of
amazing.
itself. It's Stephen King, and he's like,
Amazing.
all these years, people have tried to direct Stephen King films, and I've just decided if you want something done right, do it yourself.
Oh my god!
Dude, like
I'm not going to specify that sound effect, but
I know.
I
think we all know. It is wild, you guys, and clearly he never directed another film again. But yeah, he gave it his best shot.
So guys, that actor is Giancarlo Esposito, I believe.
Yes, it is. That's exactly
Dolph Midian.
Yes, major shout out to Far Cry 6. Anybody who's playing that right now, because he plays the big bad.
He's all scanned up in it too. Like it looks like him, the character. Which usually it's just the voice actors, but they've been doing a lot more like likenesses. What's that other one? The with the guy from Walking Dead, where he's very much like up in it. Death Rising or Death Stranding, something like that.
Death Stranding. Ugh. So I'm not sure how to segue back to Church's Chicken, but I am going to finish this up. So this, if you want to see the remains of this building for yourself, we cannot legally tell you to snoop around there and see what you can find. But all you have to do is go to 276 Park Avenue West. They're in Mansfield, Ohio. This is public information. Big thanks to ChickenGuy. Big thanks to Noah Jones, the reporter who wrote the Richland Source article on this. As far as the other threads we will pull, honestly, we would have to take some time to figure out what's going on. It is unusual to trace these stories, and they're rabbit holes that I immensely enjoy. We do want to point out that the reporters found an oil company was involved, a place based in Delaware called Humble Oil and Refining Company, sold the property back in the day to something identifying itself as Church's Fried Chicken with a P.O. box in San Antonio, Texas, back in 1972. Nobody knew really what happened. Oh, Matt, that's a revelation face. I know you well.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, you got it. What is it?
I went to Google Maps. I went to the location that you just mentioned.
Uh-huh.
If you're on the main street going down next to this location, it is a gray building, all grayed out, gray painted over particle board that's up on all the windows. If you go forward just a little bit and you take, if you go forward just a little bit, you can see the entire churches the way it used to stand. If you go down North Benton Street, and it is so stark and strange to see the two buildings there together at the same time as we're hearing about this story.
That is weird. Yeah. Good eye, man. Because I had looked around there too. This is what we're talking about when we're saying send us your local mysteries. Send us, your local cryptids. Send us these strange stories. I hope, Matt, Noel, I hope you guys are into them, because I'm just going to be obstinate about this. I want to know, like, if there's something, like the guy who wrote in about the closed Walmart housing military equipment. Those are stories that don't really make, national news. And every so often there's something strange about. So please write to us, call us, email us, give us your stories, these local mysteries, whether sinister, whether absurd, whether amusing, whether you think they are possibly paranormal. Would love to read them. But before we wrap up today, I want to make good on what I said earlier. This is a request this may be this may lead everybody into unpleasant territory, but I recently received a question via my personal social media regarding the possibility of Dylan Roof being not just a lone actor, but a question asking whether or not he was ordered by some group or organization to perpetrate the horrific mass killing of 9 people there in Charleston. And I've done some digging on this. I'm thinking this is part of a bigger story, possibly secret societies or secret organizations existing in different levels of power structures that may be ideologically motivated by racist beliefs. The question is, how deep does it go? The question is, was Dylan Roof involved, or was he, as the official media narrative states, was he someone who self-radicalized online? That's what you'll hear now. However, I do want to point out, before we all get to hunting down this idea or to, thinking of our own theories or walking through the possibilities, I do want to point out that a friend of Dylan Roof's was facing conspiracy charges from the FBI. Now, the legal definition of a conspiracy is not necessarily the same thing as the casual conversational tone we use when discussing conspiracies. So at this point, would love to hear your thoughts. Going to do some more digging on this end and then circle back. But in the meantime, please provide your insight. Please give us your ideas. Do you think this is maybe alarmist? Do you think there's something more to the story? Cannot wait to hear from you. Again, you are the most important part of this show. And you might be saying, yes, you tell me that all the time, every Thursday. But how the hell do I talk to you? Well, we're going to give you the answer. If you want to take a page from Starlight and P and Triple Z and ChickenGuy's book and contact us directly, we'd love to hear from you. We try to be easy to find online.
On the internet, you can find us in all the usual places of note. You can find us on Facebook, where we also have a Facebook group called Here's Where It Gets Crazy. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on YouTube under the handle Conspiracy Stuff. On Instagram, we go by Conspiracy Stuff Show. You can also find us by dialing us up on the telephone. We are 1-833-STDWYTK.
Yes. When you call in, please give yourself a cool nickname. You have 3 minutes. Use them however you wish. Really, that time is yours. We will hear it, and we will either be pleased, very happy, disappointed, scared. They're all the things. You can make us feel however you want to make us feel. We are excited at getting to feel something via your voice. That's so weird. Okay, if you need more than 3 minutes, you can instead send us a good old-fashioned email. We are
conspiracy@iHeartRadio.com.
Stuff They Don't Want You to Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.